our own upbringing modeled and molded how we act and accordingly with our children. And, it still boils down to their choices and what they're going to become as people.
You're watching Life is Life for Everyone with Chris and Ace, a speakeasy conversation brought to you by CooleyConservatives.com.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Life is Life for Everyone
Yes.
with Ace and Chris. Ace, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a good, what is it, already Wednesday? The week's just flying.
I know. There's been a lot going on these days.
Yeah, life is life for everyone, isn't it? We are all super busy.
Yeah.
Especially this afternoon. I tried to do one thing and then four other things came up and took its place. So, but it's amazing how much we can get accomplished when we just set our mind for it. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
Multitasking.
Well, and speaking about that, what kind of prayer, what kind of scripture is on your heart today?
Yeah. Well, we've always come up with our topic, sort of led to the topic, I believe, either you or myself. And tonight I felt compelled to discuss our childhood upbringing, our parents' style, so to speak,
Right.
and what ended up bringing us to who we are today as men and dads, and then try and interject what maybe some other kids might be going through today in comparison. And then I did a little research. I came up with something, that I think we can use. This person's writing gave 14. It says 14 unpopular but extremely effective strategies for raising great kids. Well, that's perfect.
That is very interesting.
Unpopular and extremely effective. That's right
Yeah.
down my alley. So
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that is a good point. I think it goes along with a lot of the concerns that parents have these days as generation to generation kind of modifies the ebb and flow of how life works. And I was thinking about this too, like with regard to this topic, growing up in a family with a lot of discipline, and then I'm like, okay, do I want to have that much discipline? Do I modify? Do we I guess the way I think about it is the concern of going from one side of the pendulum to the next side of the pendulum instead of trying to find that happy medium. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And upbringing, our own upbringing modeled and molded how we act and accordingly with our children. And, it still boils down to their choices and what they're going to become as people. It's same for us. So,
and that segues perfectly into the scripture lesson that you have.
Yeah. I'm using today my New International Version Bible, and I've had this since I was late teenager. So
okay,
in 18, 19 years old, I believe, is when I first got it. But I thought Proverbs 22:6, was a good way to start us off here, and I'll read it. It's train a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not turn from it. So the lessons learned from early training, whether they're forgotten or neglected or purposefully stepped away from and walked away from, eventually you come back to it. What was taught, you maybe realize, gee, that was pretty smart of my parents to go that route. I think back now of, all of that, the authoritarian measures that my parents took they'd both end up in jail today.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, the kids just do not get spanked or
Yeah.
hardly even scolded nowadays. It seems like you see it examples of that in stores and such. But
Well,
um,
and I think that kind of calls out too something that I was thinking about generation to generation as parenting is kind of, I guess, evolved is the right word or not, but as parenting has evolved over time, generation to generation, it feels to me like more of the parents are abdicating their responsibility as a parent.
mhm,
The abdicating their responsibility to discipline their children properly.
yeah,
I'm not talking about like violence or anything like that, but just like you said, when you're at that store and you see some kid acting up and the parent just lets it happen, I'm just like, what do you expect the rest of us to do your job?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I could think back at a time when I was quite young. I mean, I'm probably like just above toddler stage, and back in those old days, we used to have cobblers, actual shoe repair people and shoe repair shops. And there was one in West Bend where our hometown was, and it wasn't uncommon for all five boys to pack into the old checker cab, car, which would have nowadays been a Dodge Caravan. But we
Mhm.
got into this old checker cab, and my parents and the five boys, and we would go everywhere shopping wise. So we were all in this cobbler's shop, in the shoemaker shop, and dad's getting a pair of shoes resold or something. And again, I'm like three, or I remember because of what happened after the fact. One of my brothers opened the door when we were done, and I bolted out past the sidewalk onto the road, crossing the road without an intersection, without adult,
Oof.
and a car came and slammed on its brakes. And well, I got, I got, I got my butt spanked, right? And maybe that's why I remember it. I don't know. I remember it vividly, like that memory. And I cried, and their fear of losing me and me getting hurt prompted that reaction, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I never purposefully ran out in the middle of a street
Yeah.
sober.
It's interesting you say that because that is almost exactly the reason I gave my son a spanking.
Yeah.
Like the only spanking I ever gave him was almost exactly the same scenario that you just described. And I
Interesting.
remember thinking at that time, he has to remember this is dangerous. And I smacked him hard on the ass.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you going to do? I mean,
That was the only time I ever had to do that.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always, I had difficulty with my Air Force jet pilot dad, his, spoil, spare the rod, spoil the child mentality. And we
Yeah.
got him, all five boys got him. And so I had a hard time switching that when it came to Danielle, our first child. And so she got it a little more than my son did. And, and, maybe I kind of had it a little bit more under control by the time Brandon came, and it wasn't done in anger. It was done, as a means of teaching rather than anger.
Exactly. And
And
that was the lesson I learned too, is that growing up, I didn't wanna do it with emotion involved.
yeah,
I wanted to be smart about it, and I
yeah,
think that's a difference too for people who do grow up from the experience, whatever the experiences that you learned, maybe you didn't get enough discipline and you grew up and found out there are real consequences when you get into the real world. And so
yeah,
you want to change your style with your children.
yeah,
Whatever end of the spectrum you're at, everyone's trying to find a happy medium.
yeah, yeah. Well, growing up on a farm, in the middle of the country on 40 acres was different than maybe a child growing up in the
Good
inner
point.
inner city or a small town, or and what I learned from my dad and my brothers and my mom. But what I learned on that farm outside, is lessons that I've carried with me all my life. And I'll use this as an example, Chris. There are times of a boy's life where if they hunt, they're educated on hunting, and they're educated on gun safety, and they're educated on the handling of a weapon when it comes to
and
hunting,
the responsibility of it all.
responsibility, all of that, right? Well, I actually started learning that at a way earlier age than most kids would, right? I shot my dad's .38 revolver at probably like 6 or 7 years old. Just one time, the first time. And with teaching and with education. And I got my first recurved bow and arrow way before 12 to 14 hunter safety classes, right? And
Nice.
I was like a marksman before I had hunter safety, right? And so you learn things like that in the country
Mm-hmm.
that you might not get, generally in the city. And with so the responsibility end of it, what we learned as kids with guns, and then taking the hunter safety course. I don't remember if I mentioned it or not in our podcast, but the reason my nickname Ace is because I aced my hunter safety class, and that's how long I've had this nickname. So, I don't know where all that's going to, but my point is, you end up starting a little earlier, and you learn different things when you're in the country.
Yeah, it's all about the experience that you have growing up. All that experience kind of accumulates over time.
Yeah, yeah. So it wasn't uncommon, for my brothers to be all off at school and me being alone and ending up playing outside by myself at a very early age, making mud pies and picking flowers to give to my mom. And, I was
Yeah.
outside all day long. The tablets and the electronic devices weren't there. We had
No,
black and white TV when I was a little one,
it was very similar for us too. I mean, growing up in Lewisburg, Wisconsin, very rural little community outside of Cuba City, if anyone even knows where that is.
Yeah.
But it's interesting too. Like, we talk about this all the time, and I think I don't even think it's generational difference, or as much it is the geography of it all. But when you
Yeah.
grow up in a rural area, it's like you get on your bike in the morning and you don't even come home until
No,
the lights come on.
no. By the time I was
Your
10,
parents do not expect you.
no, no. My red 3-speed Huffy, it was like a 24-inch, bicycle. I was gone all day on that thing.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's the
And
way it
then
was for me too.
neighbors too. The neighbor kids we were all the same. Then none.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you learn.
there was a handful of us who were right around the same age, so we just hung
Yeah.
out, ride our
Yeah.
bikes around town, maybe throw football around, or baseball. I mean, whatever we got in the mood for, or during the winter, just sledding out in the pastures.
Yeah. You just learned the responsibility of safety and living. And then when you did make the stupid decisions, you paid the consequence,
You learn from it.
Yeah, yeah. And some of us learned harder than others, but
Some lessons you just have to learn the hard way.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Daredevil stuff, one parent would absolutely shriek at, what we did as kids, running across beams in the barn, chasing each other
Yeah.
with implements down below us, where
Don't tell my parents, but we had BB gun wars with the neighbors.
Oh, we did too. We did too. And mostly during high school, we did that. But
Yep.
But we put on like snowmobile suits and helmets and gloves, and when we played BB today, it would be paintball, you know.
Right.
But back then, it was BB guns.
It was
So
BB guns was the only option.
yeah, yeah. So we all grow up differently, and whether it's one way is better than the other, or the right or the wrong. I'm not here to judge or to say, but today kids their upbringing is, you can just tell it's different. It's evolved into something a little bit more liberal, let's say, in a sense, and they have a whole different mindset about
Yeah.
how to react to authorities, how to react to people, strangers, uh, you know, manners,
Oh,
a-
yeah.
all those things are have changed
Yeah. Well, and I
for the
remember,
better or the worse.
speaking about the way we each choose to raise our children. I remember, like, very specifically, Diane and I having conversations about, we are not going to let the kids have a cell phone until they are, they get their driver's license. It's
Yeah,
almost like a reward for earning their driver's license. But
yeah,
it was deeper than that. It was because I would tell the kids, you are not going to grow up like this.
yeah,
You're going to grow up being able to look someone in the eye and have a conversation with them.
yeah, yeah. And again, I'm trying not to judge and tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do, but seeing doing some research and listening to as many podcasts as I do in my semi truck, I've some of them have been involved with this topic with tablets and
Interesting.
oh my God, Chris, the stuff that I've listened to about like Roblox. I don't know if you know anything about that. It's
I don't.
a game that a lot of small kids end up on, and then teenagers, and the amount of power and control issues that are coming out of it from
Wow.
individuals stalking and trying to open up chats with kids, and the
Mm,
dangerous stuff that's involved with it is horrendous. I don't even want to go any further than that, but
that
uh
is crazy.
I heard I that podcast was a guest interview that Sean Ryan had on, and it was somebody that's trying to battle this. I mean, kids are cutting and abusing themselves.
Yeah.
They're being manipulated by these chats and these people,
Wow.
and it's just evil. It's an evil thing.
I do remember he had that conversation with Tim Tebow some time ago, and he was
Yeah,
talking about the human trafficking and
yeah,
the way kids are groomed into this kind of stuff. But that,
yeah. That
man,
was
the
the first
details of
one.
how they do it with those tools and those tablets, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that was the first interview that started that whole process with him. And then since
Okay.
then, he's had two other guests that have taken it to another level. And enough so that it scared me to a point where I warned a few friends, asked them if their kids were utilizing this Roblox,
Wow.
program, or to whatever it is. It's like an app, for your
Okay.
tablet. Um, But yeah, scary. The kids are subjected today to a whole nother level of insanity because of the electronics, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, and it's not just the kids who are
It-
susceptible to it. It's
yeah, us
it's also
too.
the parents as well,
Yeah.
because we talked about this at some of our security briefings. I mean, in the IT world,
Hmm.
we're always looking at, like, how are people doing things? And one
Yeah.
of them, like, with these AI tools that can mimic people's voices, I
Yeah.
mean, you could get a phone call, and I mean, nowadays they're saying, with your family members, have a code word so
Hmm.
it's that person, and because their voice could be mimicked by some AI tool.
Yeah. Yeah. I've learned about that as well. And the amount of texts and emails and scams that are going on right now is just incredible.
It's
They,
crazy.
yeah, I've gotten like 4 in the last 2 days that start out with an email address, and then it goes into a fear-based agenda regarding the DMV and outstanding tickets and such,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry, listeners. I just think it's crazy that anyone would fall for that, but I understand that fear can cause that to occur.
Yep.
You get caught up in the confusion of it, and you hit enter, and there you're off to the races,
Yeah.
being taken advantage of,
Well,
and
and
the
speaking of that kind of a scam as well, I think it's important for everyone to understand you're not going to get a text message about that.
no,
If it's really a problem, it's going to come in the mail. I
yeah,
actually just, and it was so interesting. I just got a letter from the Wisconsin Department of Justice the other
yeah,
day.
yeah,
And I saw that envelope and I thought, oh crap. Because I know if it comes in an envelope like that, it's probably legit.
yeah.
It's not a text message, it's not an email. And so when I opened it up, thankfully it was renew your concealed carry license.
Oh, yeah,
So it
yeah,
was a good one from the Department of Justice. But
yeah.
my point is, never fall for those scams, folks. If it's
No,
in a text message, if it's in an email, ignore it
and
completely.
isn't it with the government? It's got to end with .gov. Is that correct?
Yes, and it would have to be a .gov
Yeah,
email address or .gov website address. But
yeah,
even then, there's all kinds of spoofing things people do these days.
yeah,
If
yeah,
it's a letter in your hand, it's real.
yeah. You got to really be careful, be on your toes.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
much
And I'm glad
scam.
you brought that up because a lot of people are falling for these things.
Yeah. So that we got a little bit off track with the upbringing, of children and all, and a friend recently, I discussed this topic with him briefly, and he brought up how so many kids are they have 2 sets of parents now.
Mm,
The divorce rates have been so high, and kids end up with 2 sets of parents, and
mixed
um,
messages between them.
yeah, and how this person said that it would be unusual for most kids to have a situation where you have just 1 set of parents. That's how far it's gone
Mm,
with his situation in his life. So I can only imagine what the difference would be there between us and them right now.
yeah.
The struggles that they are going through or have gone through, and the amount of ciphering and emotions, and dealing with that situation, in a way that's positive. you know
Yeah. I'm sure it
um
adds a lot of complexity to the emotions and just
yeah,
the whole experience of being raised that way.
and then it's touchy subject, but then you get into this whole gender thing that's going on. To you and I, there's 2 genders, male and female, X and
Yeah.
Y chromosomes. But there's a lot of people that are going through this, and they're confused.
Well, and I
And
think it all comes down to those of us who are raised in a good Christian home.
Mhm.
You know the foundations of the world. you you just get it. God created the world with a
Yeah,
man and a woman,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's that.
yeah. I mean, it's even knowing that you and I believe and have faith in that whole way of teaching, but it still doesn't uh, discount the fact that there's a ton of people being taught
Exactly.
you know,
And we're all living together side by side in the same
trying to
neighborhoods.
trying to figure it all out together, you know.
Yep.
Um,
Well, and I think that's why it's important for us to always maintain that we can disagree without being disagreeable.
yeah, yeah. You and I can do that, but you know, for the most part, we try anyway.
Yeah.
But what most there's a lot of people in a serious divisional situation, you know, and I don't know if I think only God's going to be able to fix that. I don't think
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
I don't
it's
think
it's it's got to be something that touches their heart and makes them change their attitudes, their
yeah,
mindset.
yeah, yeah, operating in love instead of hate. So
Well, and that's why I try to I try to be patient. It's something I've been learning all of my life.
yeah, I don't know. I fail at it regularly.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still
Well,
working on it.
let me share, what at least the main topic. I'll steer people to the site if they wish to learn more about it, but I'll take a minute or two to read kind of what I came up with here on the old Google machine. It comes from I believe the site was A Conscious Rethink was the title of the article, and then the title of the blog was 14 Unpopular but Extremely Effective Strategies for Raising Great Kids by Anna Phillips Waller, and it was published on March 8th of 2025. And along with that one, I mean, there were hundreds of options to choose from, but
Mm.
that unpopular, but extremely effective stuck out at me, and I had to open it and check it out. The first, there's 14 of them. The first one is allow them to fail. And
Mm.
how many times are we as parents trying to help that child to not fail, and
Right.
and then they do, and then they're heartbroken, and they're struck, and
Well, and
um
it's in our DNA to protect children.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I obviously each one of these 14 has a good long couple of paragraph description of it, but we'll just go over the general you know item of each one of these. The number 2 is let them get bored. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, let them get bored. So, maybe so again, I didn't get a chance to read all of those, but maybe so that they, figure out on their own, nobody's gonna do it for them. They have to figure out how to entertain themselves and, you know,
Maybe
go
also
to the
just the
next
idea
right
of
thing.
learning how to be content.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe
could
that's
be.
part of it too.
Yeah. Number 3 is let them be kids. We want them to be
Yeah.
grown up right away.
No.
Just let them be little kids.
No.
It's like training a puppy. You want to have a black lab be a hunting dog, but you should let that black lab be a puppy for a good year before you start
Yeah.
really training them to be a hunter.
Yeah.
So
That's a good one too. I think about like when my kids were little and the little imagination things that they would come up with. And
Mm,
I know some parents would be like, "Wow, get your head out of the clouds," kind of an attitude. But I was always like, let's explore that idea, and
yeah,
to the
yeah,
point where one time we were in a car wash and it started became a little trend. Every time we were in a car wash, and you get those like colored soaps and everything on the windscreen.
mm.
And I think it was Amanda who like said something like, "It's candy."
Oh,
And so I would pretend like I was eating candy off the
yeah.
windshield every time we did that going forward. So just, yeah, like you said, let them be kids.
Yeah. Number 4 is don't always try to prevent their unhappiness. I thought that was
Mm,
interesting.
That is
I mean,
interesting.
yeah, I mean, let them feel it.
Yeah, kind of going back to that first one.
Yeah, yeah. Number 5, let them experience their emotions. So,
Hmm.
what do you think of that?
I like that
Yeah.
because it maybe help them understand how to cope with those emotions,
Mm.
or what do the counselors call it? The having a tool to handle it or something.
Okay. Yeah.
Using exercises or whatever to help cope.
Let's see if I'm curious now that we're talking about this one. Let's see what it actually says on number 5. It says, let them experience their emotions. Emotional intelligence outpredicts academic success in determining life outcomes. Despite this knowledge, many parents inadvertently stifle emotional development with well-intentioned responses like, don't cry, you're fine, or calm down.
Rub
Children,
dirt on it.
yeah, children possess the full range of human emotions from their earliest days. Their experience of these feelings remains just as valid and intense as adult emotions,
Mm,
despite different triggers or expressions. Acknowledging this reality creates space for authentic emotional development. Naming emotions provides children with essential vocabulary for their internal experiences. When your child rages about a seemingly minor issue, try, you seem really frustrated right now,
mm.
instead of dismissing the reaction as inappropriate. This validation creates emotional safety while teaching identification skills. Hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But
Physical
maybe
outlet.
coaching then along the lines of what is a a proper way of handling this
Yeah.
when you feel that way?
Yeah. Physical outlets for emotional expression matter tremendously. Provide appropriate channels like physical activity, art materials, or comfort objects that help process big feelings. These external resources gradually internalize as self-regulation skills develop. Remember that emotional regulation develops gradually throughout childhood and adolescence. The brain regions responsible for impulse control don't fully mature until the mid-20s.
Oh,
Meeting
wow.
meeting children where they are developmentally rather than expecting adult
Hmm.
emotional responses creates the foundation for healthy emotional development.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I
Because it
mean,
goes along the lines too of also let them be children. They
yeah,
have to learn how to deal with those emotions, what they mean. Like that, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, yeah. Number 6 is praise their effort, not their results. Hmm.
I don't think
Yeah.
I agree with that one.
I wondered if you wouldn't. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Because
not
we
everybody's
are an
good.
outcome-based society. You're
Yeah.
not gonna get a job and everyone's gonna pat you on the back for working hard unless you also produce some results with it.
Not everybody's going to get a ribbon today, right?
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly. You have to learn
yeah.
not just to work hard, bang your head against the wall, but you gotta be smart and have the right outcomes too.
Yeah. I mean, maybe reading on, if a person took the time, they'd catch a little something different out of it. But I just do not believe in that. Everybody gets a trophy thing. I can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah. No.
You,
No,
you,
even
you,
even at
I,
work today, we have some tools, AI tools that we use, and like if I have a meeting and it's a recorded meeting, especially, I can put it into an AI tool and say, how did I do as a facilitator? And it'll
yeah,
get it gave me a B minus. I was mad. Like, what did it take to get me into an A? And then
yeah,
it kind of worked through like, basically it's like coaching, and then I talk to my boss about it, and I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, okay, that makes sense. I could do this better.
I mean, like gym class and having to climb the ropes in gym class. I mean, there was only one kid that could do it.
It's
None,
hard.
none of us could do it, right? I mean, let's give the whole gym class a trophy. No,
No,
what do you got to do to change so that you could do that like that one kid?
exactly.
I'm okay with that. you know?
Yep. No, just introduce a little bit of hard work and
Yeah.
figure out what it takes to get to the next level.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, and like I said, even today at work, I've been in my career for 30 years and I'm still finding ways to improve.
Yeah. 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 It's there. I don't know. There's, wait till you get to one of the next ones. So I'll have a good time with you. Here, this one says, let them have treats. I mean, in comparison, I did read a little bit of this one, and holding back. Let's see research consistently shows that children raised with excessive food restrictions typically develop poorer relationships with eating than those taught moderation.
Hmm.
So let them have
Yeah,
some.
moderation makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure there's more, involved with this, but say, to just completely cut off a f- this kind of food type for whatever reason, I don't know. Probably not. Yeah. We're moving on to number 8. Don't ban screen time. And that needs some explanation. But to ban it completely,
Right.
might
Moderation
not.
again makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, might not be such a good thing. Let's
Yeah,
see.
that's actually a good one. I do appreciate that one because I know when my kids were growing up, like internet time, I would program the router so that their computers could not get on the internet after I think it was 10 p.m.
Okay.
So
The
they
parental.
could do their homework, get everything done, but after 10 p.m., I didn't want them just screwing around and doing stupid stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Parental controls. I wonder how many parents choose not to even bother putting parental controls on there.
It's super simple these days.
Yeah, yeah,
You can do it really easy, but yeah, I wonder too. I mean,
yeah,
and honestly, I think that's like I said before, I feel like parents are abdicating a lot of their own responsibilities these days. I
yeah,
could be wrong about that, but in my experience, I see it all over the place.
yeah,
Parents who just aren't doing their jobs as parents.
yeah. Their number 9's gonna spark something here, I bet.
Oh boy.
Says don't gender stereotype them. Shaking head, no.
No way.
And Anna believes that this is a thing here. So
No.
blue for boys, pink for girls, trucks versus dolls, strong versus pretty. These seemingly harmless distinctions actually constrain children's development in measurable ways. Breaking free from gender stereotypes expands your child's potential remarkably. I mean, I got to admit, my daughter is, she's a tomboy from the start,
Sure.
and
But she's still a woman
she's still a
and
woman.
her DNA is still the DNA.
Yeah, yeah. But
But
she
I mean,
she's
I
broken the
understand
barriers. She's broken the barriers of gender.
and I think is a great point.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, you don't want to put people in a box, but
yeah,
you also don't want to ignore science and DNA and what people are are meant for.
yeah. It says research consistently demonstrates that children internalize gender expectations by age 3. These early messages influence everything from career aspirations to emotional expression patterns. Boys learn
Hmm.
to suppress emotions, while girls receive subtle discouragement from pursuing STEM interests, all before kindergarten begins.
That's a good point. Some of those stereotypes, and I see this in IT all the time. Some of
Hmm.
those stereotypes can definitely harm, like women who are meant to be in a computer science world, a
Yeah,
STEM, like you said.
yeah,
Um, yeah, but encouraging where people's talents are,
yeah.
and it has nothing to do with gender. Your talents. What I'm talking about are like the basics, like a woman is going to be a mother someday, or a
Mm,
boy is going to be a protector of his family someday. You know, the stuff
yeah,
that's inherent in our DNA.
yeah. Says language choices significantly impact gender development. Phrases like boys don't cry or "That's not very ladylike" might seem innocent, but carry profound implications about acceptable traits. Consciously examine the subtle messages your words convey about gender expectations. So,
There's a point there, but I wouldn't go overboard with it.
yeah, keep it simple, stupid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Parenting's hard enough without, making it complicated. But
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Let's
yeah,
not overcomplicate it.
yeah. Okay, number 10, encourage independence and interdependence.
Definitely, I agree with
Yeah.
that.
Working as a team,
Yes.
working with other
Well, and like I
kids.
said, understanding where each individual's talents are and how
Yeah,
to negotiate and cooperate with others. Like where I might be weak, Diane is like super smart at stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we work together as a team.
yeah, absolutely. And I encourage, if, people to look for this topic: 14 unpopular but extremely effective strategies for raising great kids, and make your own conclusions after you read the entire blog, the
It's
entire article.
definitely inspiring some good conversation here.
Yeah, yeah. And number 12 is encourage collaboration, not competition. Yeah, yeah.
I think when
Here
Mitchell
with
was in
yeah.
robotics, they called it what was it? It was a combination of collaboration and competition.
Mm,
And it was interesting the way they did that because you had, robotics teams competing with each other, but also
right.
working together because, I mean, a lot of these complicated topics that they were working on, like whether it was robotic, the hardware or the software, they all had to kind of team up together and get things done.
Um, yeah, it starts out its explanation from sports leagues with trophies to class rankings and academic competitions. Modern childhood overflows with competitive structures. While healthy competition has its place, overemphasis creates unnecessary stress and undermines essential collaborative skills needed in today's interconnected world. So,
I
yeah.
don't know about unnecessary stress. You have to have some stress in
Mm-hmm.
order to learn. Maybe, yeah, I could see how people can take it to the extremes though.
You know who would have an interesting take on this would be Diane, being, in her position.
Oh yeah, as a teacher, I bet you're right. Yeah.
She would have, probably a whole different idea, than what we've discussed. Maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know. So
Yeah,
here,
that is interesting.
13 is let them follow their path, not society's, in parentheses, or yours. Hmm.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with
Well,
that a lot, actually. I've had conversations quite frequently
yeah.
about how we raise our children.
Yeah.
And I mean, now that they're adults, you
Yeah.
know, we can only give recommendations. We can't tell them how to live their life.
Yeah. It's interesting how my son is, in many ways followed in dad's footsteps, good in good, bad, and the ugly, and now he's actually, gonna start truck driving as well, like I do,
Nice.
and work for the same company I do. So,
Awesome.
I mean, whether I had influence in that or not, it's just the path he's deciding to take, and I I'm going to let him follow his own path. You know, it's either going to work for him or it's not, and regardless of what I think or say or
Yeah.
do. So,
Well, and the greatest advice I could ever give to our kids was pray about it.
mm,
See what path God has placed in front of you. I can only give you recommendations and coaching along
yeah,
the way based on my experience.
yeah,
They have to pray about it and what makes most sense to them and whatever God has planned for them.
yeah. Do you remember if I ever brought up the Ben Franklin close in our conversations? And it's the
I don't
right
recall.
draw a cross on a piece of paper and put pros and cons, and then list all the pros of your decision and all the
That's
cons.
smart.
That's, that exercise has, gotten me through some difficult decision making, times in my life. So it's just
I
simple
bet.
pros and cons, and whichever size is heavily weighted is the deciding side that you'd go on.
Yeah,
So
it kind of answers itself then at that point.
yeah, and I don't know if it's 100% accurate, but I heard that was a practice that Ben Franklin did often. That's where it was coined from. So
That is interesting because it makes me realize, like, one of the things that I've noticed about myself is that just the exercise of starting to write things down,
yeah,
it's almost like therapeutic. Just
hmm
the physical writing things down, and even to your point, like with the Ben Franklin idea, writing it down in a categorized way,
hmm
I feel like that probably would work a lot for
yeah,
just about everything.
yeah. I mean, every decision that you have, any decision you have that you would need to go to someone else for advice for should start with the pros and cons,
Yeah. Yeah,
because
that actually, now that I think of it too, that was one of the things that I would do for elections. Like if I was having a hard time understanding, but it was slightly different. It wasn't just pros and cons. It was like what are the issues that are important to me, and I would
hmm
write that down. Is it the economy or national defense or whatever and then I would go down a list of like who the candidates are that I felt like aligned with my ideas, with my thoughts on that, and I remember that exercise of doing it that way, writing it down really helped clarify it in my own mind so that I
yeah,
could then talk about it for others.
yeah, and you're not gonna get every candidate following your views
Exactly.
or your pros, so so therefore there's you have to weigh it out and decide, okay, there's only one pro extra, there's 10 pros and there's 9 cons. What do you do then? You pray.
Yeah, right
You
on.
you get discernment. Is that the correct term?
Discernment.
Discernment. You get
Yep.
discernment from your prayer. You sleep on it 24 hours before making the final decision.
Yeah.
Should I buy that car? Should I, should I?
Take that new job.
Yeah.
That
Those
I
are
mean,
all
there's
good.
some big decisions in life where you gotta pray about it and find out what makes the most sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the number 14 here, Chris, is don't enable them. And that, boy, I can relate with that. I mean,
Yeah, let's go deeper into that. What is that
okay,
referring to?
says parental love runs deep. This powerful attachment makes setting boundaries, allowing natural consequences, and watching struggles profoundly difficult. Yet enabling the practice of removing obstacles and natural outcomes creates surprising harm despite feeling like protection.
Mm,
Natural consequences provide life's most effective teaching moments. When you repeatedly bring forgotten homework to school, complete projects last minute for them, or make excuses for missed responsibilities, you deny crucial learning opportunities. The same goes for letting them live without boundaries. Boundaries express love more effectively than permissiveness. Children flounder without clear expectations and consistent limits. The
I totally
temporary,
agree with that.
yep, the
Boundaries
temporary,
are the key to life. Understanding the boundaries,
mm-hmm,
total the key.
yep. The temporary discomfort of enforcing rules builds the security of knowing someone cares enough to hold them accountable.
Yes.
Remember that today's enabling creates tomorrow's struggles. the college student unable to manage time, the young adult with undeveloped work ethic, and the relationship partner unwilling to compromise often trace these difficulties to well-intended parental protection from natural grown opportunity or growth opportunities. The greatest gift we offer children isn't protection from life's challenges, but the tools, confidence, and resilience to face them successfully. This equipment develops primarily through supported struggle rather than obstacle removal, a truth that transforms parenting approaches when fully embraced.
I
Yeah,
like that a lot. I think it's something we talk about at work, embracing the struggle
yeah,
in order for us to grow in our professions, in order for us to grow as a business.
yeah,
Really embrace those struggles and learn from the challenges that we face.
yeah.
I like
The
that a lot. That's a good one.
the kids, the kid that is always, let's just say they act like a martyr because they decide to take care of something or do something that was told to be done by a sibling or another kid, and they can't wait for it to get finished and be done right, so they do it themselves, right? They're enabling That's enabling behavior too,
Hmm.
um
Good
having it
point.
not be perfect, you know in my life with the alcohol and drug addiction experience that I have, and the people that I have around me in that realm, enabling someone would be like uh, calling into their boss where they work because you see that they're hungover and there's no way they're going to be able to go to work, and you call in to their boss and make an excuse for them that they're not going to be there today. Same
Mm,
with school or whatever.
yeah.
Um, that enabling and then not suffering a consequence for getting fired from their job because
Yeah.
of
Better to
their
suffer the
addiction.
consequence and really learn from that.
They'll continue to keep drinking, or drugging,
Yeah.
and not get the help they need. Better for them to hit a bottom, and hopefully survive it, and then come to recovery.
Yeah.
So
It's a slightly different, but it reminds me of a lot of the crime statistics that we see in the area and how it's just again and again this revolving door. Someone's let out. They
yeah,
they they give them what do they call it, like a cashless signature bond.
yeah,
They just let them back out on the street and they do it again and again and again. And these judges are not doing them any favors by going lenient on them. They are
yeah,
making it even worse for them and for the rest of society.
yeah. Oh yeah, the court system is doing it more now today than any other time in my history that I'm aware of. I just read something about the pardons that have taken place within the Wisconsin government and
Yeah.
coming down from governor down, and okay, some people have paid their price and have reformed into society, and that's great. But I'm thinking that this new situation is allowing some people to get out that maybe shouldn't have been let out on a pardon. So
Yeah. No,
yeah,
it's definitely a problem, and I think you're right. I think having at least parents understand the consequences of enabling so
yeah,
that it happens even less.
yeah, yeah. We don't have all the answers, Chris, but
No, we're certainly not gonna solve all the world's problems, just most of them.
I think I think our upbringing was, you know, as it stands, it created two decent guys, doing the best we can with
Yeah.
our kids and with our friends and people around us, and trying to make the world a better place because we care about humanity.
Yeah.
you know,
Well, and that's a really good point. That's ultimately what it's about. I mean, we do care about our neighbors and our friends, and especially our families, obviously. Yeah, I mean, we're just trying to make the community a better place with the knowledge that we have and the experience we've gained.
yeah, understanding that sometimes, you know, individuals need to suffer a little pain before they make a change, you know, whether it be
Yeah.
our kids or the adults around us or ourselves, you know. Sometimes we're stubborn and need to feel a little pain too. So,
I am
um,
definitely a work in progress, my friend.
yeah, me too, me too. And we're not coming across, hopefully, to everybody that we got it all together, because we're, you know, life is life for everyone. This is such a
Right on,
perfect
brother.
topic for our podcast, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, nice job picking this topic. I loved it.
Yeah, I hope.
Any closing remarks you want to go with? We're almost at an hour here now.
Yeah, I you know, again, if you're interested in what we talked about and want to learn a little more about that one, it's I see on the bottom of my phone, it's all connected. aconsciousrethink.com was the site that this one was written from. aconsciousrethink.com, and it was 14 yeah. Love IT. You're such an IT nerd. I am not. I missed the era by like 15 years maybe. So,
Yeah.
yeah, 14 unpopular but extremely effective strategies for raising great kids by Anna Phillips Waller. Thank you, Anna, for providing us with some great information to utilize tonight. So,
Right on. Well,
yeah.
and I'll close with this. Folks, if you like this kind of content, please head over to cooleyconservatives.com and click that little buy me a coffee button. It's not just the monetary contribution, it's the morale boost that it gives us. And share this with everybody who you think might be interested in it as well. All
Mhm.
those little clicks that we get, all the little donations we get for coffee, it really helps boost the morale. It tells us that you like these authentic conversations, and we'll keep bringing them to you.
Yeah, that sounds good, Chris. Thank you,
All right,
everybody.
sir.
I want you